Hello and welcome to the Nick OG Art and Comics podcast and vlog. Today I've got a great interview with my longtime collaborator, Brandon Rhiness. Brandon is an excellent writer turned filmmaker, and he also gave me some of my very first work in comics. We'll be talking about comics, films, and more. I also want to announce that I'm now on Patreon, and starting next episode, my patrons will be getting a producer credit at the end of each video. My Patreon features tons of new comics, new content, sneak peeks, early episodes, and exclusive live streams. Give it a look over at patreon.com/thatnickog. Let's get into it. So, general introduction, how old are you, where are you from, what's your name?
Okay, I'm Brandon Rhiness. I'm 40 years old and I live in Edmonton, Canada.
How long have you been reading comics?
I have been reading comics since I was in grade 5, so 10 years old or however old you are in grade 5.
Okay, what was the first comic? Do you have any do you remember anything about, like, the particular storyline or what issue or anything?
I sure do. It was, I remember I got into comics because the Marvel trading cards were made available in the early 90s. So that kind of got me interested in the whole thing. And my dad took my brother and I to West Edmonton Mall, and he's like, I'll buy you one comic book each. So my brother bought an issue of Iron Man, and I got Punisher number 47, like the original series. And it was kind of like the Iraq War, like the first Iraq War, and Punisher went there to kind of fight this Saddam Hussein kind of guy who was like, making these illegal weapons and stuff. And I remember I just something clicked instantly, and basically from then on, I've kind of been a Punisher fan.
Awesome. Funny story. I've definitely been to that comic store, or like that place in West Edmonton Mall.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
But you're not even there anymore. It closed down after like however many decades. Kind of sad.
I remember being there once and just emptying like a whole pocket full of change and just like trying to buy shit, and just just a kid with like $8 in dimes.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite comic?
It's so hard to say, but I would just have to say in general the Punisher. Like some of his incarnations I like, some I don't so much, but it still just holds like a kind of a fond place in my heart just from the memories of reading it as a kid. But I like even some of the Punisher Max stuff I like, and I quite like the newest one that it's the run that just came out, and he's always been one of my favorites.
Do you have a favorite particular issue or storyline?
Too many to say. I can't really pick one. There's a whole bunch of my favorite's still like the original run throughout the 90s. It lasted for 104 issues. I got that. That's the longest complete run that I actually own. That one's always been my favorite, but I even like Punisher 2099. A lot of people hate that one for some reason. I don't get it. I think it's freaking awesome. I like quite a few of the storylines.
Cool. Do you have a favorite writer, just general?
I'd have to go with Mike Barron. He was kind of one of the main Punisher writers back in the day, and even when I was starting to write comics and stuff, he was kind enough to give me some sound advice that really helped launch my my writing career.
Cool. How about artists?
Ooh, that's a tough one. David Fincher, I guess I really like. Jim Lee, of course. Todd McFarlane, a lot of those classic guys from original Image days. I mean, there's so many good artists out there. It's kind of like it's hard to pick just one. But those guys are among my favorite.
Nice. Yeah, Jim Lee can definitely draw a great Punisher.
Oh, yeah. I think he got his start there. I don't know if that was his first comic, but it was one of his first.
For sure. What's more unforgivable for you? A good story with bad art or a bad story with good art?
I would honestly, art is less important to me. I like good art, but I'll deal with some pretty crappy artwork as long as I like the story. If it's the other way around, it could be, friggin' Mona Lisa, but if it's boring, I won't even pay it any attention. So as long as the art is somewhat competent, I'll read it. Obviously, I'd prefer better art, but for things like the Punisher and some things, I'd read it no matter who was drawing it. Because I'm a writer first and foremost. I have absolutely no artistic skills, so writing's just the bigger thing to me.
Cool. So usually I ask if people grew up reading Marvel or DC. and I think that one's a pretty much foregone conclusion with your love for Punisher.
Yeah, I do. I've always liked both.
Yeah.
It's kind of changed in recent years. I just kind of Marvel doesn't appeal to me as it once did. And if I had to pick now, I'd say DC.
Okay.
But yeah, growing up it was Marvel.
What DC titles are you a fan of growing up and now?
Batman titles I've always liked. I got some runs of those. Yeah, I read like a lot of Superman, Hawkman. Yeah, a lot of the big ones. Like I read a lot of in the earlier kind of 2010s. I read a lot of Green Arrow. So yeah, I do like. Yeah, I prefer DC nowadays. I don't know. It's almost like Marvel's kind of too popular or something. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, but that's just kind of the way I see it. I just read some of their stuff and it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me as much. I mean, there's so many kind of more indie stuff out there between Image and IDW, Dark Horse, and every other company that it's Boom and Dynamite. It's kind of like, what do I need Marvel for? I hate to have to say that after all these years because I've been a loyal fan, but they just kind of lost their appeal to me.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. I think the only title I'm reading right now from Marvel is Spider-Man, and I don't know, there's a long time there where I was just a Marvel zombie. Do you read many foreign comics at all?
Not really. I have read manga, and I've read all the the Tintin comics I read when I was in junior high. I was a big fan of those, Belgian or whatever they are. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just more into American comics. Or Canadian.
What's your favorite Canadian comic?
Oh God. Honestly, I don't even know. I didn't even think of one at the top of my head. I've read them, I know, but.
What projects do you have coming up or in the works?
We got the Nothing Man. It's kind of a big one. I've been working on it for a couple of years now. After I got into the filmmaking, it just eats up so much time and money that the comics kind of slowed down quite a bit, so we're still putting stuff out. It's just a lot slower. But yeah, Nothing Man is a live action comic we made where we actually hired actors and a photographer, so it's like a comic book but with real life pictures.
Yeah, it's like the Italian style.
Yeah, I call them live action comics. I don't know if I made that up myself or someone else did, but I know there's other ones out there. It's just I haven't seen that many of them, but it's a really interesting way to do it. The pictures look kind of great, and the star of the comic, Skylar Radzian, has actually gone on to star in some of the TV shows like Supernatural and The 100 and stuff. So that's kind of great that her career is getting a huge boost, and it's a pretty cool thing. So I'm hoping to get that out. I hope to say in the next few months would be nice. Ghoul Squad's another one. You've actually done some work on too. That I think it's been 3-4 years now. We've been trying to get the 4th issue out, and it always just gets put on the back burner. But it's all the artwork's finished and some of the lettering's done. So hopefully that one will be out soon. Because I'm still getting people bothering me about it when it's coming out. So it's like I gotta appease the fans, I guess.
So the Italian term is called fumetti. So that's the Italian term for like the photo comics. It was a pretty big thing. But since you mentioned like your transition from comics into more filmmaking and stuff, why don't you tell us about Higher Universe?
Yeah, Higher Universe started out as just like a comic book company. Myself and my business partner Adam Chuck started it, and we put out a whole bunch of comics. You can find them all on the website or on the Facebook page, and they're all available on Comixology. And I dabbled in filmmaking when I was younger. I was like 16 when I worked on my first film set, and I kind of written some scripts, and I just never really took it that seriously. But after the comic book thing started kind of taking off, and I was getting recognition for it, and my stuff was well respected and kind of popular and making a bit of money, and I was like, you know what? I used to write these scripts. Maybe I should give that a shot again. So I kind of just dedicated myself to it. And next thing you know, people were paying me to write things, and I was selling scripts. And then all of a sudden, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, I got laid off from my day job. And I was kind of like, oh, shit, like, what do I do now? And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm making some money. I could probably live, at least for a while, on just my writing money. And I write comics for other people and stuff, too. So I decided I'd take it a month at a time, and when I ran out of money, I'd get another job. And it's been 5 years now, and I'm still making it happen. So it's kind of cool that I'm able to do that. So Higher Universe is now, we have like Higher Universe Comics and Higher Universe Pictures, which is the comic book and the movie company.
Nice. And like the first one for that was Mental Case. That was your first kind of longer work.
That was like the first. It's a web series. That was kind of the first. Yeah, the first thing I shot basically. We had like really no money whatsoever, and I was my own director of photography. I just rented the camera, tried to do it all myself, and it was good for what it was. But then I started hiring professional people, that could do the lighting and the camera work, and then the budgets got kind of bigger, and so I started cranking stuff out. But yeah, Mental Case was kind of the one that I considered that started it all. We shot 3 episodes of that, and I even made a comic book of it too. It's kind of like a prequel comic that's pretty cool. So you can find that one on Comixology as well. And the Mental Case episodes are on the Higher Universe YouTube channel.
Awesome. So what's the hardest part of the creative process for you?
I don't know if it's really part of the creative process, but raising the money is always the hardest. Always, unlimited money, man, I could do so much more more stuff. That's always it. And it's always just this barrier in the way of doing what I want to do. Like, honestly, if I could draw, I could do so much more. I just can't. So I come up with this comic book idea. I write a script, and it's like, well, it stays as a script until I can raise enough money to hire an artist and get that going. And it's always hard, too, because I'm juggling so many things. And it's like, well, I want to finish this comic book that we're doing, but, we're also shooting another project. So I don't got enough money to go around. So money's got to go to one. And if I stop making the movies to do more of the comics, then that area slows down, and so I'm always kind of juggling and trying to decide where the best place to put the money is. So I would say, yeah, it's just fundraising is always the hardest.
How about the easiest?
Easiest is just, I think, creating the concepts followed by the writing. I got like this list of, it's in thousands now. Kind of like anytime I think of an idea, even if it's like a title or like a name for a character or just a cool scene, anything, even if I don't know where it'll kind of work out yet, I'll just write it on my phone, and I just add it to this huge list I have that is now in the thousands. And just anytime it comes up to like, I want to do a new sci-fi movie, new horror movie, or a new action comic, I'll go to this list and scroll through and be like, oh, okay, some idea will kind of hit me, and I'll start developing that. And it's funny because anytime I keep things on the list, like once I produce them, whether it's a comic or movie, I just kind of change the font to red instead of black. So as I go through, I can be like, oh, like these things, like my movie Hotbox or, my comic Nothing Man or whatever. It's like at one time it was just a title on this list or a brief idea. And now it's a thing that exists in the world. It's because, I kind of came up with it. So I have an endless, number of ideas that I wish I had the money to make them all, but then, I'll probably never get through them all in my life, just to be impossible. But I just like being able to just constantly conjure up anything that I can imagine.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to someone just starting out their comics making journey?
I tell people this all the time, and it basically comes down to, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I was given no special, my dad wasn't a big movie producer or a big comic guy. I just had an interest in it, figured it out, started doing it, and made it happen. And it's kind of like, I learned the process. I mean, I'm always learning new things, but, when I started out, I had a rough idea of how comics were made. Like, I knew there were pencils and inks and colors and letters and all that, but I'd never been through the process. And the first one took me like a year to make, just because I had to learn how to do everything. It was so frustrating. But I finally ordered 100 copies of it, and it's like when they came in the mail, it's like, damn, this Stargirl comic went from an idea in my head, and I just put in the work, and finally I'm holding it here in my hand, and it was like such a good feeling. So it's like, yeah, just start off and figure it out, and whether you want to be a writer or an artist. And, I mean, you have access to so many people and ideas and everything, and just resources on social media that, if you can't draw, you can write a script and then just ask on Facebook that you're looking for an artist. And I just kind of threw out a big net and said, I'm looking for an artist, and send me samples of your work and how much you charge per page. And I found the artists that I kind of liked the best and started working with them. And if you can't write, then you can hire writers. Like, I write comics and movies for people all the time. That's how I make my living. So you could just even if you have a bit of money, you could probably find some new writer. Just like, hey, how much would it cost to write a 22-page comic script? And, save up the money, get them to do it, hire an artist, or you could draw it yourself, and then just basically force yourself through the process and get it made. And then once you do it, you'll know how to do it. So next time you can do it quicker. And then we added more people to the team, and then kind of get a little machine going where it's like, hey, I know how to do this. And after a few years, it's kind of like, it's just, you don't got to figure out the whole process and start from step one. You kind of just know how to do it. But if you have the dedication to it and you're willing to put in the time and the money and stuff, it's a very rewarding career. So it's and it's just it's never too late to start. I mean, when I first read my first comic in grade 5, like I started writing these really crappy scripts. I even tried drawing and they couldn't. And some of those ideas are still on my list, right? There's still kind of things that I could develop, and it's been many, many years. But it's, you have kind of all the time in the world. So it may as well just basically just jump in and start doing it.
Awesome. So you've been given the opportunity to work with any IP you wish. What do you choose and what do you do with it?
Ooh, I guess Punisher might be an easy answer just because I've always liked that comic, but I've always kind of had an interest in E-Man, Masters of the Universe. I've always kind of wanted to write for that. I can't even think of what I would do with it. Honestly, it kind of come down to what I think when it came down to it. But there's so many characters, such a rich world. I like some of the DC stuff that they put out recently with that series. And I mean, there's so many characters. I kind of like to tell some solo stories of the side characters. I mean, yeah, there's just so many of them that I can just imagine just 100 different stories for each of areas we could explore, and the world we can kind of expand on that.
Nice. Did you ever see the Dolph Lundgren Punisher adaptation?
Oh yeah, I freaking love it.
It's just funny that you mentioned Masters of the Universe and Punisher, and he was both of those, right?
Yeah, actually, I watched. I don't know why people bash that Masters of the Universe movie so much. Like, it is cheesy 80s movies, but I actually watched it like this week, like 4 or 5 days ago. I have it on DVD. I watched it with the commentary and just like learned so much more about it. And it's it doesn't resemble the cartoon, the comic book so much, but they kind of went in their own direction. But yeah, both those movies, like Masters of the Universe and the 80s Punisher, they're cheesy 80s Dolph Lundgren movies, but in a way they're so good that I kind of like them more than the more modern Punishers.
Yeah, for sure. But cool. Thanks for sitting down with us, Brandon. And I hope to see more of your stuff coming up soon. And I'm looking forward to doing some more letters for you.
Yeah, you betcha. Hope to get Nothing Man out there soon. And thank you for having me on the show. It's great to actually kind of see you face to face. Been like 8 years or something that we've been collaborating on stuff. So it's kind of cool to finally get to talk to you.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Thanks for having me on, and keep in touch.
Yeah, man, keep on making comics.
You betcha.
Thanks again for sitting down with us, Brandon. It was great talking to you. My latest comic, Death Row Sorcerer, is finally at the printer and should be shipping soon. The 48-page self-contained action, horror, comedy, prison adventure is a perfect choice for lovers of zany movies like Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. Currently, I am finishing up inks on my latest yearly adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft. This year's book is going to be The Music of Eric Zahn. The final pages are going to be a blast to ink. They're fucking wild. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much.